our little opening prayer. As we take nice deep breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. And we just hold this deep appreciation for technology when it works and when it tests us. And we hold a deep appreciation for people, for when they please us and when they don't please us so much. And we know that we have the power to generate love, curiosity, and wonder in all of those situations by coming right to this very moment, this very second in time, and just using a little mantra that just keeps us clear and centered. It's all God. It's all good. And all is truly well. No matter what's going on in our lives, we can just come to that short, sweet mantra of truth. It's all God. It's all good. And all is truly well. And we hold that through our day, each and every day, as we face sometimes that may feel a little more challenging than others. But remember, all is truly well. And so we let it be, and so it is. Amen. In the month of February, which ends today, we hold in prayer Unity Moncton Study Group and Unity Ministry in Motion. We also hold in prayer so many of our members of Unity of London who are experiencing health issues, experiencing loss, experiencing celebration, experiencing opening up to new awarenesses, experiencing letting go of the past. And we just hold them all in the light and in the love of our one power. So today, Sylvia Square is beginning as a new platform assistant, and she will be sharing another of Unity of London's core values of connection. And she'll be reading from the Daily Word for us today. Sylvia.
Thank you, Catherine. Today's daily word is connection. I honor my connection with all people. No matter how great the distance that exists between me and the people I care about, I know we are connected by our love for one another. Today, I reestablish and strengthen this connection by reaching out, even if it's only to let someone know I'm thinking of them. Our connection is also kept strong through prayer. As I pray for those I care about, I bless them by holding my highest vision for their lives, seeing them as healthy, prosperous, happy, and fulfilled. Whether we're in frequent contact or if we've fallen out of touch, my connection with my loved ones remains strong because we are one in God, one in love. And from 1 Corinthians 12, verse 13, for in the one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greeks, slaves or free, and we were all made to drink of one Spirit. Well, and I'm not sure how our technical issues are going, But it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Pauline Duncan Thrasher. Pauline has been an active member of Unity since 2012. And I mean active. Pauline is a prayer chaplain, and she leads us in prayer on Zoom several times a week. We meet every day. For those that are unaware, we meet every day except for Sundays at 11, well, just a little before 11 on Zoom. So there's a different Zoom channel from the one we are meeting on right now. Excuse me. But Pauline is one of the prayer chaplains that leads us regularly on Zoom at our 11 o'clock prayer time. Pauline's also a board member. She's a past president of the board. And she is currently a co-member of our spiritual leadership team. And Pauline is also studying to become a licensed Unity teacher. So I know you'll agree with me that we are so lucky to have her. And once we're ready, I don't know how we're doing there, Larry. Are we able to?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I can do this without PowerPoint.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Thank you, Sophia.
So absolutely. So here we flow with her message today about forgiveness, the ultimate challenge. The ultimate challenge. Please help me welcome our own Pauline Duncan Thrasher.
Thank you very much, dear Sophia. And it's ironic that when we have as our theme connection, that we are connecting in a way that is even more significant than through pictures. We're connecting heart to heart. We're connecting face to face and spirit to spirit. And it is a joy and a pleasure always to present to our Unity of London members. And I know we have as our guest with us today, Lucy from Quebec. And we hold Lucy in prayer and Lucy's friend Farion. The first photo that I was going to show was a bike. You could barely see the bike because it's covered with big bags, huge bags. You can barely see the little rider. Why? A symbol that when we choose to hold on to grudges or past harms or little hurts or little annoyances, when we hold on to that stuff, it's as though we're carrying huge bags around with us. And who needs that? We don't need big bags of stuff. And we don't need to hold on to grudges and the past because it slows our progress. It obstructs our vision. Doesn't make sense. I read a story, and I don't know if, okay. I don't know if this is back on. It's just distracting. Okay. I read a story about a young executive, pretty wealthy. His name is Josh. And Josh had just acquired a few months before a 12-cylinder Jaguar XKE. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot to me, to be honest. I know it's a fabulous car and everybody makes a fuss over it. It was sleek, it was black, it was beautiful, and he loved his car. So he put his foot down to the metal and was zooming through this neighborhood he didn't usually go through, flying and feeling so proud of his beautiful car. And all of a sudden he heard, whoo! It was a brick that had been thrown at the side of his car. Well, he screeched to a stop and he got out. He was in a rage. He wanted to find out who threw this brick at his beautiful Jaguar car. And he was screaming and yelling, and he saw a little boy, and the little boy was just terrified because Josh was stomping around, yelling at the top of his voice. And the little boy said, sorry, mister. And he went and he grabbed the little boy by the scruff of the neck and he said, what do you think you're doing? You just wrecked the side of my car. This will cost more money than you can ever dream of to fix. Little boy said, Mister, nobody would listen to me. I had to throw a brick to get attention. And he pointed and he said, can you help, please? And his brother, who was in a wheelchair, had fallen onto the part of the road. And he said, I'm too little to lift him up. Well, you can imagine all his rage at his precious car being hurt flew out the window. And he picked up the young boy, put him back in the wheelchair and wiped his face, got rid of the blood and said, here, I'll help you. Josh never fixed the side of his car because he knew that he had to remember. He had to remember what happened. He had to remember and forgive, and at the same time learn a lesson in life. How often have we held on to our past, our grudges and our mistakes, and just couldn't forgive? We weren't able to. We didn't think we could. So today's message is about how can we forgive? The next picture on the slide was a boxer with boxing mitts, and we fight our past. We all do it from time to time. Maybe we remember something from way past and we can't somehow, we don't think we can let it go. And yet there is a way. We have to think about what are we carrying around. In her beautiful little book called Energy Sparks, Dr. Nancy Little talks about forgiveness this way. When you carry unhealed wounds or grudges, you experience undercurrents of stress. The weight of your grievances often leads to intense suffering. I don't know about you, but that certainly has happened in my life, where I thought, oh yeah, I've forgiven. Yeah, I said I forgave. I'm a good Christian, but I didn't really forget. There was this little black spot in my heart or in my head, and it was still there. And it caused lots and lots of stress. Maybe you can relate. Didn't have to be something big like a little kid throwing a brick at your car. Or maybe it was bigger than that. Maybe it was something, somebody looked at you sideways and you immediately took umbrage. You thought, I'm not going to forget that person. I'm never going to be friendly with that person. And then your face got all angry and mad, and you kept the mad inside. Who needs that? Who needs that mad inside your head? Oh, Larry's with me now. Okay. So let's move to the Buddhist philosophy. Beautiful Buddhist psychology reminds us that forgiveness is a way to end suffering. Not the suffering of the person who hurt us. It's a way to end our suffering. To bring dignity and harmony back to our lives. Forgiveness is fundamentally for our own sake, for our own mental health. It is a way to let go of the pain, let go of the burdens. And in essence, forgiveness is not something you do just to make yourself feel better. It's something you do to make yourself be better. I have friends, well, they're not really friends anymore, but they used to be friends, who looked at me proudly one day and said, "I never forget a grudge. I'm loyal to my friends, but if somebody crosses my path, that's it for them." And I thought, whoa, it's kind of scary to hear that, because it's dooming that person to a life of sadness. Christian scientists also believe in forgiveness, and they believe that it needs to be earnestly cultivated. Let's see. I don't know if I can move my own. It's about divine love, and Jesus exercised forgiveness in ways that we've read about in the New Testament. He taught it, but he also practiced it. I considered whether I would show a picture of Jesus on the cross, and I didn't want to. But many of you have seen Jesus on the cross. And while he was dying, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He wasn't saying, "I forgive those rotten, horrible people who've made me suffer." He was opening up a new dimension in his mind of these people who perhaps didn't realize what they were doing, or maybe they did. In any case, he forgave them. Confucius had a message, and I love this message. Those who cannot forgive others break the bridge over which they themselves must pass. Those who cannot forgive others break the bridge over which they themselves must pass. We've all made mistakes. We've all made errors. And in our lives, there are many bridges. And I'll show you those bridges in a minute, I think. As children, we get hurt. And sometimes we relive that hurt as adults. We may even write a book about the hurt that we suffered as a child. And forgiving that hurt allows us to cross the bridge. We may suffer as, no, I've totally lost everything. Sorry. I don't know if you can still hear me.
We can hear you, Pauline.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll keep talking while I go back onto Zoom because I got off it somehow. The other bridges in the picture involve a couple crossing a bridge, and you may have been hurt in a relationship, and you may still be trying to forgive that person. In that instance, you may need to go to something that we call acceptance, where you realize that the person who hurt you was a herder. You accept, you let it go, you release it. It doesn't mean that you forgive what they did in terms of saying it's okay that they hurt me terribly. You accept you were hurt, they hurt you, and you release it. There is a point in our lives when we may feel totally alone. Like this woman on the bridge, only her guitar to keep her company. And maybe she needs to forgive herself, to let go of being hard on herself and start reaching out to other people. Maybe as we're going to work, whether we're going to work in an Asian country carrying bundles on our back, or into corporate life like Josh did, where the people we work with may not always be understanding. Can we forgive them and see them as people just like us? They have their issues, they have their challenges, and maybe what they are saying or doing to us is a reflection of their own hurt. So being able to walk inside their shoes, just briefly. And if we can do all that, we might be able to dance with joy over the bridge because we feel free of those feelings of revenge. And the next little slide, I don't know if I'm even going to, there we go, thank you, Larry, is what happens sometimes when we just accept our own vulnerability. We may need to remind ourselves of our own strength. And Joshua said it best, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And we can lose it sometimes. We may need to ask someone else for forgiveness. But the Lord our God is always with us because divine presence is always with us. And receivers of our forgiveness, and there are three, and they're on the next slide. The first receiver of our forgiveness are other people. And I've shared some examples of other people that we think may have hurt us. They could be our parents, our best friends, our siblings, people that we just meet briefly. We meet someone in the supermarket and they're rude to us, and we go home mumbling and muttering and carrying that rudeness around instead of saying, maybe something horrible happened to them, just forgive. The second group, external forces. And the external force could be fate, what we call fate. It could be God. Have you ever met people and they were so mad at God because they lost a loved one, because their child had a horrible accident, because they had a terrible illness, and they are raging with anger and fury at the external force? To let that go, because then we can let go of our feeling of being a victim, a poor little pitiful person. And the third receiver of our forgiveness, ourselves. We can be so hard on ourselves, and maybe you've done it. Maybe you are still scourging yourself for something you did wrong years ago. Forgive yourself. Take that burden off your back and just let it go. Last week, we had a speaker from the United States, Dear Rev Jim Rosemurgy. And in his book, The Transcendent Life, he says it in one sentence: forgiveness is a return to love. When you think about it, love is really the answer. If we can look at someone with loving eyes, we can forgive them because we see in them the face of God. And the face of God, my dear friends, is you and you and you. It's all of us. Acceptance was written about in a little book that a dear friend lent to me. Acceptance helps you place a premium on your own health and clear your head of emotional poison. If you really feel, I can't forgive that person, maybe it was something really awful, then you accept that they are who they are. You cannot change them. You accept that what happened, happened. Be true to yourself and honor the full force of the awfulness. That's part of my life. And then, as part of that acceptance, I learned so much. I'm so much more because of what happened. I did write a poem as part of my course, and it's called Forgiveness. Hearts of stone, bereft, alone, hold fast the past, blames everlast. Inner dark gloom, love's light, no room. Old burdens, heavy megaton, love actions can be never done. Recognize the load you bear. No one else but you alone to care. Free yourself. Toss from dusty shelf, resentments deep, hurts, saber saws. Think love. Think joy. Think life. Then pause. Release your heavy, burdensome load. Repave a fresh, new self-love road. Set free you versus me. Anchor's gone. Smile, not sneer. Heaven is here. Your choice, your voice, ringing loud and clear. I forgive. And in our final slide, in the darkness, there is always light. And forgiveness is the ultimate reward. Forgiving is the ultimate reward, sets you free, brings joy, love, and light. Forgiveness, the ultimate reward for you spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Amen. And now we move into meditation. I encourage you just to relax your body. Do some shoulder shrugs. This is for Elizabeth. And you might want to stretch. Stretch out to all the limitless possibilities in your life when you forgive. Feel the radiant, life-giving light flow through you, all the way through your whole body. Radiant, serene harmony, replacing anger, replacing resentment or hurt or pain. Inside, you feel harmonious, flowing peace. Breathe in that peace. Breathe in that still, quiet harmony. Breathe in your oneness with divine presence, knowing that Jesus, our way shower, taught us all about forgiveness. Absorb your light-filled goodness, openness to love. You are love. I'll let you know when our meditation time is fulfilled. just before we leave our meditation, I invite you to whisper. You don't even have to move your lips. You could whisper in your heart. Nobody will see you. It doesn't matter. But it does matter to you. I invite you to forgive right now by name anyone you may have been holding like a pebble in your shoe. It keeps bugging you and you don't stop and empty your shoe. I'd like you to empty your heart now, if you can, of that annoying pebble, that grudge you've been holding, or that painful memory you just can't let go of. I invite you to empty it out and say, I forgive. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And I hope in saying the forgiveness, or if you can't get to the forgiveness, say the acceptance. I accept that this awful stuff happened to me a long, long time ago. I can't change it. It happened. I am a whole, loving, divine presence right now. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
Well, Pauline, once again, we are so blessed, not by your talk, but by your message. It's your message that just goes right through me, and I'm sure goes through right through so many. Just the gentleness, but the thoroughness of your message of forgiveness today. Just absolutely beautiful. And I thank you so much. Yeah.
Catherine, thank you.
Even those that we think we have forgiven, like you said, to just, a couple of those faces came up right at the very end there. And it was like, I'd like to forgive, but wow, do I hold on sometimes? Unaware, unconsciously. So this was just a great opening up for me, and I'm sure was for many others. So thank you so much, Pauline.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And now we go into Jack's favorite song, I Release and I Let